Felix, everyone knows you as a skater and an amazing skater, but what I want to know is who is Felix when he's not on speed skates or nice skates?
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for inviting me, first of all. The person behind the athlete, I guess you're asking about. I try to be pretty much the same guy. I guess what you see is what you get is a saying. For sure, sport has been the major focus point of my life, or top sport has been the major focus point of my life the last 20 something years. Obviously, there was a bit of a change about 3 years ago when I became father. I guess that's a little bit where I would say the the focus has switched at least a tiny bit. But nevertheless, I'm still loving the sport. I'm still enjoying skating as much as ever. It's a little bit harder to combine like being a father and trying to reach the top step of the podium as much as possible. But so far, it's so far going not too bad. And yeah, the reality is also I'm closing in on the final stretch of my career, I would say. So I'm really trying to make the most out of every training session and out of every race nowadays.
Are there any hobbies outside the sport you like to do with your son, with alone?
I'm, almost every
Do
kind of
you
sport
do
I'm
you have
enjoying.
time for anything else?
Yeah, there's not too much, but nowadays, yeah, I'm a passionate cyclist. Like I really love to ride my bike, and now I get to do it together with my son. So this is really nice. Right now, still at a quite slow pace, but nevertheless, it's really enjoyable for me and get to see him like how he's basically improving from day to day and riding faster every week and longer every week. Like the other day, we rode our bike to a restaurant, had dinner there and back. And then I looked at my watch and it were like 7K. So I thought like, wow, that's actually for a 3 year old, that's not too bad.
I saw that you started skating at 5'6", around 5'6". Did you go straight to skating, or did you have time or did you try other sports at that early stage of your childhood?
No, actually, I started. I think it's quite common in Germany. You start like with general athletics or even gymnastics. It's called for kids, and this was like my first introduction into sports. Let's say I wouldn't call it training. It's just moving and playing with other kids, and then from there, I was trying different sports, like from soccer to tennis, played some basketball, all of this, had a skateboard at home, all this stuff, but nothing was really getting my attention for too long and nothing really challenged me too much, I would say. And then when I was around 5 years old, kindergarten friend of mine, he asked me to join him to the club training of my skating club. And I arrived there and I was, I guess, pretty confident back then. And suddenly, like, I was sitting more on the ground and was like by far the slowest of all kids. And that really got my attention, and that really made me try to get better. And yeah, then it didn't take too long, and I was not the slowest kid anymore. And yeah, and then I got super connected to skating and never left, I guess you can say.
So your kid has curiosity to try skates, or he only
Yeah.
wants to ride bicycle?
No, recently he got his first pair of skates, and I got him a nice pair of blue jet Powerslide skates. A really really nice skate for kids. I can only recommend. And obviously, we just waited till he asked us. Like he saw obviously from me, but also from his mom that we
Yeah.
are regularly on skates. And then suddenly he started to asking, I also want some skates. So that was really nice. And we got him a pair. And So far, he's more busy like with having the tool and taking his wheels off and on. And I guess he saw this from me also way too much. Skating, yeah. And actually, last Friday, for example, we went to Grosgerau and he did like one lap on the big track, but I still have to hold him. Like it's not. I guess you cannot really say skating yet, but he's curious
Yeah.
about it, and I'm sure he'll. I don't know if he'll do the sport, but I'm sure he'll learn how to skate pretty soon, and then yeah, gets to have fun with the other kids, and then we will see where it leads.
Can you pinpoint the moment or the timeline where skating stopped being just an activity that a child is enjoying to this is becoming part of who I am?
Well, I don't know if you can really pinpoint it down to one point because it started like regional club races. Then you're traveling maybe the first time to nationals. Suddenly you're doing international races in Belgium, France, Italy, and so on. And then I guess maybe the biggest changing point was when I qualified for my first junior European Championship, 2004, a long time ago. And you get to wear like the national team uniform. You get some cool kit. We got a helmet back then. We got some jacket, some pants, the uniforms, and this was, I think, when I realized, okay, yeah, this is what I want, and then obviously started to work also really hard to, yeah, not only be there but be successful. And yeah, but like you asked, difficult to pinpoint one exact point. It was more like one step led to the next, and yeah, suddenly you are at the World Championships in Korea, like 2006. And when I got to see this and experience this, then I knew exactly, okay, that's what I want, and I made it once now, and I want to go every
I
year
want
basically.
more. And
Yeah, I want more
2004 was
exactly.
Pamplona, right?
Yes,
Your first
exactly.
Euro
Yeah.
was Pamplona.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Great memories still about all this. I got to this year for the World Skate Marathon Tour in Pamplona. We got to warm up on the road circuit. The park is called San Antonio or Antonioniti or something like this. And this was also the road course of the European Championship 2004. So this was like felt really nice, like bit of a full circle moment going back there 22 years later.
So one of the issues we have in many countries, Portugal included, is at the later stage of a skater career, most of us need to pick between starting the professional
Yeah.
or keep the skating at high level. And what we see in you is a different kind of story. You're a member of the police in Germany. What I want
Yeah.
to understand is how is it to first to be a policeman? How is it to conciliate that with sports? From the outside, we see you have a lot of support to try to combine both while being a police in Germany. Can you walk us through a little bit on that side of your professional life?
Yeah, so I guess we have to go back a little bit to my school years. So when I was like in my final 2 years of high school, really started to think, okay, what am I going to do after school? And for me, it was sure I want to keep on skating. Then I started to think about the options which I have, and yeah, obviously, you got to make money at some point. And back then, okay, I was making a little bit of money with skating and winning some prize money and stuff. But I realized pretty quickly, yeah, this is maybe enough while I live at my parents' house and while I keep costs really low. But this is nothing I can sustain for, let's say, 10 years or something. And that you don't want to live with your parents in your 30s, or at least I didn't want to. So basically, I did my research and I figured out there's two ways in Germany how I could handle it. And one way was joining the army, and with the army, there's some sports support program where you basically, even if you're in a non-Olympic sport, but in a World Games sport, you can get supported. And when it was relevant for me, the support was maybe you could get 3 years, maybe 4 years, depending like how successful you were at World Games and stuff. But to do this really long term was difficult. The good thing about the army is you basically go there for 6 weeks. One time you get your military training, and after you're completely free to do your sports. So you would be after 6 weeks you would be a full-time professional athlete, which was appealing for sure.
That's
Nevertheless,
an
I
amazing
I
program.
choose. Yeah, it's great, and many of the top athletes in Germany, they are part of the army program. But I choose for the police, and I choose for the police because first of all, in my region, they were opening up the program for non-Olympic sports. So I and Mareike Thun back then, we were the first non-Olympic athletes who joined the police program in my region. The other big thing was that instead of just having a short training, you actually got to study. So instead of a 3 years study for athletes, it got extended to 4.5 years. So we really fully went through a bachelor study, which was not easy because first of all, it was like 60K from my hometown, and you still had to go, yeah, 5 times a week. You had to go to university to Wiesbaden. You had to try to train before, then do university, then train after, and then basically fall dead in your bed and recover for the next day and do it all over again. And those were a really tough 4.5 years. And the good thing was, like, once you get through this period, then there are 20 spots available for the region for all sports, like soccer, athletics, basketball, cycling, swimming, and so on. 20 spots where the most successful and best pro athletes can be funded by the police and really need to work only minimal, like once or maximum twice a week. And apart from that, can fully focus on their career. And then every year you get evaluated, and they look at your results. And if you are successful at international competitions, then you get
You
another
can
year.
keep on the program.
Yes. And the strong point about the program is that you have your studies, you have your job training. And if I break a leg today or I decide to stop, then tomorrow I could go into the regular job and I would not have to struggle financially. I would not have to go through a difficult period like many top athletes do once they are done with their sports. Often then they don't know what to do. And I was always a bit worried about this. So that's why I opted for this. But the reality is also during my studies in those 4.5 years, I didn't reach like the highest potential. Like I never became world champion in that period, for example, because I guess the stress and the time which I had to put in the studies was a bit too much to really reach the highest step. It's not like I was not performing, but it was only after when I was done with studying that I got my biggest wins and my most successful years of the career.
But that seems an amazing way of Germany as a country to support the high performance sport. Thank you for that.
I'm a really big fan about it. For sure, it's not everything perfect, but I'm thankful I choose this path, and I would always do it again.
So, Felix, in terms of what you do as a policeman, that's one curiosity that I have also. What is your work? Is more a desk work or more in the field work? How it is?
No, I'm a desk guy. Mostly not because that's the kind of work I prefer, but it's simply that it's easier to combine with my life and with my training. So if you think about maybe going out on the streets and doing the regular real police work would be more fun and entertaining, but then I cannot say, it's 4 o'clock and I have training at 5. See you later, guys. You know,
Yeah.
it's not working like this. And with my
You can run now. I arrest you
uh,
tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. It's pretty hard to make the bad guys understand this. No, and therefore I choose for a more 9 to 5 desk position. It's maybe not the most entertaining work, but it's
Mm.
easier to combine, and it's not it's also about like if I go 2 or 3 weeks to a World Championships and I'm not there, my cases can rest. It's nothing super urgent, and I can just continue working when I'm back. And we found this position for me, and which is easiest to combine with my current life as a professional athlete, where it's still the priority, and therefore yeah, I'm just working on cases which, for example, it can be everything from a damaged car to a stolen bike to a hit and run to maybe a fist fight, all of this. And then often people on Monday come to my office and they report any sort of these crimes, and I file the cases and then try to solve it as much as I can.
Felix, when me and Ella were setting up this episode with you, we got to a point that we can introduce you as an inline world champion, as an Olympic skater, as a world hour record holder, a Berlin winner. There are not many Berlin winners in the last 15 years. But when you think about yourself, you're not talking to anyone else. What comes first?
Ah, for sure, inline. For sure, inline is always been the sport which I cared about the most, which is closest to my heart. Ice was a nice adventure for a couple of years. It was amazing to get to race the Olympics. It was amazing to win a World Cup and become national champion. But it's been never the sport which got me really excited, and it's never been the sport where I really, really deeply cared about. I think it was mostly seeing guys like Bart, Alexis, even before Chet Hedrick and others, seeing them making the transition and being successful in Olympic sport. I kind of wanted to prove myself that I can do it also, that I'm also good enough to get to race the Olympics, basically. And once I could cross this off, it was a bit like, yeah, job done, and amazing experience. Don't get me wrong, it was for sure one of the top five like competitions or experiences I made in the sport. But it's more the case of achieving it once, and then it was also okay. I the biggest thing was prove to me and prove to others,
You were capable.
and also that inline skaters are capable of it. Because I always tell everybody, inline speed skaters, the level is so high. We are training so much. We are so professional, like like I don't see in many other sports. And therefore it was also really nice to show people, yeah, actually, willst du kurz Hallo sagen? We
Hi.
say quickly hi.
Hello.
Hello.
um,
Hello.
so it was also about showing the world around me that we are really high level athletes. We are not just some random dudes and girls skating around on wheels in circles. No, we are more like we perform this sport at the highest level possible. Not many other sports do it like us. Komm in ein paar Minuten wieder, okay? Gehen wir jetzt mal runter und ich komme dann, wenn ich fertig bin. And and for me, the showing that basically I can switch in a period of 13, 14 months and get to race the Olympics was a nice way to prove like on what a high level we are actually operating. And yeah, this was also one of the things that motivated me.
How is it possible that you are away from ice for 6 years and then in 2022 you won the mass start at the Worlds, and then you go to the Olympics? Because usually you need to those mass block of training, and at least publicly you were 6 years out of ice.
Yeah, not only publicly. I didn't even own ice skates anymore. Like I was really for 6 years, I had nothing to do with blades. And before it were basically my junior years. So I raced like 2 or 3 years in the junior years, and I got to got to qualify. I really quickly became national champion on ice. So I guess I had some natural talent. And then I got to qualify for the Junior World Championships in Russia. But then quickly after, I came to a point where when I switched to senior, first of all, the gap was quite big. Like from junior to senior was hard for me to close the gap. But also the national team and mostly the federation, they didn't give me a chance to keep on inline skating. They wanted me to choose
Oh, they
for
made you
ice.
choose.
I would have had to join them the whole summer and do like all their camps and stuff, which they did, which was never an option for me. I never wanted to give up inline skating, and I always felt like it's important for me to keep skating. Then another point was that also I started with the police, and I was in the police as an inline skater and not as an ice skater. So if I would have quit inline skating, there was also a chance that I lose my job, and that's another point where I
Yeah.
was not ready to do it.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
basically I qualified like at the national championships. I qualified for a World Cup spot, but they didn't take me, and they just said, "Yeah, you didn't take part in the camps, so we are not taking you to the World Cups." And back then it was really, really hard for me because I never faced a situation like this. Like you perform, you show your level, and it's good enough. But just some people, because they are not a fan of you or they don't like the way you do things, they closed the door in front of my face. Then I had to quit because it was mentally super, super tough. It really took a toll on me. Were some difficult weeks and months, and that basically led to the point where I said, I'm done with ice skating. And then, yeah, fast forward 6 years later, COVID hit us. Uh, there
Olympics.
were there were no inline races or barely any inline races. It was even for a while difficult to train and stuff. We were only training alone or in groups of two. And there was also, we didn't know how long this going to take. And then at some point, I got a phone call from Alexis Contin, who was my competitor before on inline skates, was obviously a very successful ice skater as well. And he told me like, yeah, basically I'm coaching the ice group in Berlin now. Do you want to come for a camp? Do you want to see if you still know how to skate? And then I was thinking about it for 1 or 2 days, and then I basically said, yeah, why not? Like I have basically nothing to do. There are no races in the near future, so why not give it a
I
try?
have the time.
Yeah, I have the time,
And
and
that led to
and they
Olympic.
and
Amazing.
they yeah and they had really good training options in Berlin because they are like, yeah, as an Olympic sport they were basically allowed to do many more things. They were allowed to train in a group, and I was like for half a year already training completely alone and no goals, nothing to look forward to, nothing to motivate myself. And then when I went there, it was really cool to have a group again. And I also realized that compared to 6 years ago, I'm a complete different athlete. Like I'm operating on a different level now. Before, I never got the feeling that I can skate on ice without my legs hurting. It was like the moment you step on the ice and you do one step, I had lactic in my legs and it was painful. And then 6 years later, I'm doing my laps and skating easy, and I'm realizing, wow, okay, this is how it should feel. And yeah, then at the end of the 2 weeks, there were two mustard races, and I won both of them. And there were already some guys from the national team racing them, and then I was like, okay, maybe I should give this a go. Maybe I should try.
I want to understand what's your personal view on the transfer, the skills transfer from inline to ice. It seems the same, but it's not the same, and it's a different
No.
technique. Do you think after that period of ice, you became a better inline skating, or it's completely different and there's no transfer of skills?
No, for sure there's a transfer of skills, and I believe ice skater can become a better ice skater if he inline skates, and the inline skater can become a better inline skater if he ice skates, because the skills are complementing each other. And we saw this with many athletes. I think we saw this even with Bart, for example. When he started to ice skate, he suddenly, not suddenly, but he could break away in marathons and basically go for 30-kilometer solo without problems. And I'm
alone.
pretty sure that some of these skills he got from the ice. And we saw this also with other athletes, that they had just more all round and became better when they started with ice skating. But I also have to say, even though I had the advantage of starting relatively early, like in my junior years, I never mastered ice technique completely. Like, I even until the end, I could never sprint on the ice, which is insane if you think about it. I'm not too slow on inline skates. I can win a pec sprint. I have a good top speed, and on ice I could never do it. So I think that shows also that it is just a complete different sport. And all you can use is your physical skills. Like, if you have a really big engine, if you're really strong, then you can use this and transfer it onto ice skating. If you are not physically well developed, basically you have no chance. Like, that's my view, and that's why I recommend also for inline skaters who want to give ice a go, start to work on technical skills early. Like, the earlier the better. But to really compete and to really aim for high results, you should first try to become the best inline skater in the world there is. I think a good point is, if you became world champion, that's a good moment to start to really go on ice and compete on ice, because then you're physically fully developed, and then
Capable.
you have a really good chance.
You talk about Bart, and you and Bart are often connected through Powerslide and marathon racing and ice.
Mhm.
What was has Bart taught to the sport?
Oh, I think many things. Like, he's he's for me the skater of my generation, like biggest skater of my generation. For sure, in the generations before, there were also huge guys, but the way Bart is dominating the sport for more than 2 decades is quite impressive. And I don't think there were many others who have such a long career and such a successful career, who keep performing. And if we take out last season, 2025, where he was injured for the first time I can remember with his knee injury, he's always been there. He's basically never sick. He's never injured. Always on a high level. And I think this consistency we've never seen before in the sport, over this long period of time. And that's, I think, where he's like really yeah, changed the sport.
Mhm.
And Felix, how do you manage? This happens to a lot of people, but with you and Bart, is it's more visible. We can see the chemistry and the way, and the other, we will go there after. The way Bart celebrates your win in 2019 at Berlin was amazing. But how
Yeah.
do you race with someone as a teammate and very close in one context, and then in a European or World Championships you are rivals? How do you manage those kind of relationships?
I think, first of all, we are not only teammates, we are also friends. I think that makes life a lot easier. And yeah, I'm not lying. It's honestly like, when Bart or Jason, when they win a race, I'm equally happy for them, sometimes more happy for them than if I would win myself. And I know vice versa is the other way around as well. Like, I remember when I became marathon world champion in Arnhem, and Bart came across the line. I never saw such a big smile on his face, like, he knew back then it was not possible for him, because there were like 15 Colombians and 10 Dutch and French and Italians and so on, just sitting on him and basically blocking his race. And then it was just natural for him that that he saw, okay, there's an opportunity for me, for his teammate, and then he was so glad and happy. There's even somewhere on the internet there's a short clip around it, like when he gives me a hug after the race. And I think the secret is being real friends, and then you just have to celebrate each other's victories the same way like you would celebrate your own victories. And we have a healthy balance, like we always give opportunities to the other guys as well. And I think that's something we managed in the Powerside team really well for many years now. And I hope also until the end of my career we can keep this spirit up.
Partnership. Felix, what has the international professional team ecosystem taught you about the sport, and what did it change you? Oh, this is a cool picture of Bart running to celebrate your win. I never seen this before. Amazing footage.
Brings back memories.
Eller is the best guy in the skating world with media. This
Yeah,
podcast
I
couldn't
know, I
exist
know,
without him. Amazing footage.
I know.
I want to understand, because you more than just an international team. You are on the most recognizable brands in the skating world, Powerslide, full of international talent everywhere. When do you move to Powerslide, and how that changed your perception of the sport and how you manage the sport?
Yeah, so first of all, like, yeah, I have really long relationship with Powerslide. I think I got my first little sponsoring package in around 2001, maybe. And then then I was in the German Powerslide team since 2006. So yeah, 20 years now. And then just work myself up 2006 during my first junior world championship in Anyang in Korea. Matthias Knoll, the CEO of Powerslide, he didn't even know my name back then. But then, yeah, I think 2 years, no, 3 years later, 3 years, 4 years later, I got upgraded into the world team as like the first German guy ever. And they gave me this opportunity, and it motivated me like nothing else. And yeah, so we've built a
Of course.
really good long-term relationship. And it it's also a lot of respect from both sides, like from the brand, from Matthias, from the CEO, but also from my side. We're always loyal to each other. In good times and in bad times, we always say, there were not only easy moments, there were also many years where, for example, equipment wise, especially with wheels, we had a disadvantage. And that's just what I don't see anymore nowadays. Like, skaters are just switching and changing to whatever is best at that moment. And there's not really that deep long term loyalty anymore, like, which I consider really important. And it's just, if you want to build a relationship like this, then you have to be ready to make sacrifices from both sides. And they supported me when I had maybe tough moments, or when I had maybe months or years where the performance was not the best. But on the other way around, I support the brand also when they are struggling. And that's how you can build a really long and deep relationship. And so far, I'm really happy I choose this path. And there were many other options and offers along the way, often with more money or more opportunities or more maybe fame or something like this. But I never really considered this, and always stick to Powerslide.
So we heard that you the points race is among your favorite races. So what does a points race give you that other races don't?
Yeah, for me, there's no hiding in the points race. Like, obviously, if you want to score points, you have to be in the front. You cannot draft for 49 laps and then sprint into the last corner around your competition or something like this. You have to be active, you have to be in the front. It's super physical, and that's always what I like the most. It's that combination of no hiding, really the usually the best and the strongest guy wins, and also a tactical factor. Like there's many different ways how you can win a points race, and to choose the right tactic for the right race for the right moment. That's always something I really like. And yeah, this combination of pure physical strength, but also tactical knowledge and how to use it, that is always something I'm really liking.
And also, one curiosity is, I think when you are in the race, you have to do math because you have to know the points from others, and try to, because maybe it's your coach that you are pointing the points, but you as an athlete, you need to know who is the front, if I can attack right
Yeah.
now or later. How you manage this kind of stuff?
So I try to have an overview of the race, and I try to think, okay, who scored how many points, and I have a rough idea more or less. But Bart is on another level in this. He knows every point of every person in the race, and he calculates during the race how much more he needs to score to be in front, or how much more he needs to score to win, and almost he's never wrong. And this is a skill, like, I try to be good at it, but I'm not even close to what this guy is doing. I think Jason and me, we were more like close your eyes and just go as hard as you can at some point, and then afterwards you see if it was enough or not. And Bart is so calculated and good in this, and I'm not even getting close to this.
This is not a question. This is just me agreeing with you. As a speaker in the middle of the track, watching everyone scoring points, every race I try. No, I will do the math myself, not Elder with the regie, and I never can. After 4 points of after 4 laps of points, I don't know anything anymore. So I get you. So
Yeah, it is really a difficult skill, and it depends also on the circumstances. Sometimes, if you have a nice video wall where there's a good overview with the skaters and the points, but usually I'm not even bothering to look up there. But Bart, you see every corner, he's looking up there, he's checking the points, he's seeing if maybe the judges made a mistake or something like this. It's really insane.
that leads us to 2017 in Nanjing. It was your first world title, Felix, I believe, and it was on the
Mhm.
points race, right?
Yeah, points on the road.
If you watch the 2017 points at Nanjing, do you recognize you immediately, or you already completely changed in these 9 years in terms of how you skate?
No, I think I've stayed pretty similar. I would like to say I improved in some ways, but like my size, my style, it's always been pretty similar, I would say. And no, I'm still recognizing myself, and yeah, this race was really. Yeah, maybe my most memorable one of the whole career. Obviously, first world title is huge, but also the way the race played out, and I really had to hold back and really wait for my opportunity. Got into a breakaway, and then only late in the race attacked the breakaway again to go solo. Matthias Knoll, we talked about him before, the CEO of Powerslide. He was there, and he was running around the lap around the road course, and was screaming as loud as I barely heard anybody before. And I think he was almost doing the same amount of laps as me, just on foot. And yeah, just the whole team, coaches, everybody around there and getting to celebrate with them together was really, really a precious moment in my life.
And Felix, one question about the world title that for all the skaters that are listening or seeing this without ever being a world champion yet, what changes?
Mhm.
After a world title, is the pressure that higher in your mind? You need to be mentally stronger after that. Is it easier to defend or to get there for the first time?
Difficult. And I would say it's easier to get your first one because sometimes you can play a little bit the dark horse card. I mean, at the World Championship, all the guys there are good. There's no bad skaters, but still, like a guy like Bart and some others, they carry more weight on their shoulders because yeah, everybody knows in every race they are one of the top favorites. And before I became world champion, I think I could maybe play a little bit the role of an outsider. But once you wear the world champ stripes, there is no hiding anymore, and there's always focus on you, and that doesn't make it easier, I would say. And to get the next one is therefore a little bit harder.
So Berlin was already your favorite marathon before you won it. What makes Berlin different from every other marathons?
First of all, it's simply the biggest marathon on skates there is, like highest number of participants, lots of history, long history, with many high level, high class winners over the years. Then yeah, for sure it used to be the most beautiful circuit with one huge lap around the city, and then the special finish through the Brandenburg Gate and a long wide finish straight. It had everything. Everything a marathon needs was combined in that race. Obviously, the course had to change in recent years, so it lost a little bit of the appealing factor. But nevertheless, Berlin will always hold a special place in my heart. Probably also for me as a German, it maybe has even bigger role. But yeah, I just love the vibe there. You go there late in the season, and the best guys in the world are always showing up. It's no matter, even if it's during a world championship, the level is always incredible high, and we just have to look into the list of the winners, and they are only the best of the best, and that makes it so unique and so special.
And Felix, in 2019, can you walk us through that last sprint? Can you walk us through that last kilometer? What does it feel to win at home in Berlin in a sprint like this one?
So first of all, the race already started with crazy conditions. Like we were standing at the start line, and suddenly there was such a massive downpour of rain, and I think maybe even hail. Like it was insane. So everybody went away from the start and tried to hide under a tent or in the toilets or something like this. And then the start got delayed by 15-20 minutes.
I have an amazing video of me on the toilet. I didn't want to skate anymore.
Yeah, and so the start was always super unique. Normally you don't have that. Sometimes you get delayed by 5 minutes or something, but this was insane. And so obviously we got to start, but it were super difficult conditions. Like the Berlin roads in the rain, they are not easy, and it's also around every corner. You never know how the asphalt is afterwards, if you had grip or no grip or whatever. And it was really a tricky race because for a while we were in a big peloton, but then there was not really a breakaway, I would say. It was just like people were dropping off. It was so fast and so tricky and complicated on the lap that in the end we were a group of maybe 12 or something. And Bart and me, we tried to attack, but it felt like in that day there was like a speed limit. Like you could reach a certain speed, but you could not really go quicker anymore. And so we we at some point in the last 10Ks we spoke to each other and we said like, yeah, we have to sprint. And then like Bart, he didn't even tell me this. Like we didn't communicate verbally, but I could just see in the last 3 kilometers, I would say, he went to the front of the pack and started to control the pace. And that's when I realized, oh shit, if
He wants a
if
sprint.
he's hitting the front now, this means he's leading out for me. This means he doesn't feel he can win the race, so he's trying to make me win the race. And just imagine the pressure you get. Like the guy who won that race 10 times, so I cannot even count anymore, like so many times. And as Powerslide, we really try to win Berlin every year. It's one of the big goals of the season, and it was just him and me in that group. So I knew he's hitting the front early, he's leading out, so I have to do it. I have to do it somehow, and then we went through the gate, Bart, Nolan, and then me. And obviously, I knew like Nolan as first of all, amazing marathon skater, but also as a really strong rain skater is going to be the main competition. And I just try to execute it perfectly, try to come around him in the perfect moment, and somehow it worked out. It was tricky and difficult. I guess I had just the right timing, and I was coming on his left side in just the right moment, and yeah, got to win by 1 or 2 meters, and was really happy to take it.
And what crossed your mind as soon as you finished first in the biggest marathon in the world in your home country, and you saw the pressure after that pressure of Bart? Now I need to win. You won. What crossed your mind at the first place?
It's just like the moment of pure joy. You worked so hard for so many years, and it's been always a massive dream of me to win Berlin once and get to wear the flower circle on your head and get to
The crown.
stand on the crown, get to stand on the amazing podium there with really nice victory ceremony, get to get to drink the 3 liters of beer, and just that massive relief, like, yes, I did it, we did it. And that was so cool. And then getting to celebrate it right after with Bart, and not too long after with Matthias, and with my wife as well. So yeah, this was all so special, so unique. And yeah, it's hard to describe the emotions which you feel in these moments. It's doesn't happen often.
Felix, about marathon racing, because it's a completely different sport almost of our track racing. And I saw you in the week circuit now and doing the global circuit of marathons. Is this something that you are focusing now? More marathon races, less track, or is still balance between the both?
It is simply, if you look at my body type, if you look at my size, if you look at my weight, and you compare it to the best guys on track, there is no arguing that I'm not made for track racing. I can be a good track skater on my day if everything comes together. If I got the right equipment, the right kind of track, and the right style of race, I can be really good. But marathons just naturally suit me better. So now I talked already about, I'm coming like to the final part of my career. I'm in a lucky position to choose a little bit more the races I want to do and the races I want to target. So naturally, I'm targeting what suits me better and where I can be of most help for my team, but where I can also be successful myself. Yeah, then we are also getting quite some cool opportunities and some nice races with the World Skate Marathon Tour. The WRC is becoming stronger and stronger again. So there's great opportunities to race all around the world and race with big packs, and also some prize money on the line. So all of these factors, make me focus a bit more on marathons and a bit less on track.
I have a funny question to end this marathon segment that I need to ask you, Felix, because it was, as a speaker, it was the funniest moment of my life, and you were there, and I never
Okay.
asked nobody inside the peloton, so I will use you as my first time asking. So, in 2021, in the European Championship in Portugal, after the COVID, there was a marathon, and there was a roundabout, and then I saw Jason Suttles doing a small breakaway and then doing the roundabout, and I saw all of you guys looking what is happening. So I need to ask you, was that something that the peloton laughed? You saw it? What do you think, or it was just me overthinking it?
No, no, for sure, for sure. We all saw it, and we all had to laugh about it. And yeah, actually, we're still making fun up to this day about Jason for choosing the wrong exit. So it's still a running joke in the team, and sometimes in training or even in racing, when we pass a roundabout, like give Jason a little tap on the shoulder and tell him like, "Hey, make sure you take the right exit." so, so yeah. But you know, in racing, it can happen. We are so focused and we are so in the zone. And I would still say back then, Jason was maybe not the most experienced guy in 2021. But yeah, I think Bart and me, we took him under our wings, and I would say nowadays it's unlikely that he still chooses the wrong exit.
I want to know because I think this was a different experience for us in terms of the World Championships. This track that is movable track, and I think somehow was different. The way how it sounds was totally new for the world of the skating. What do you think about this kind of initiative from the World Skate?
I have to say, I think back then in 2019, I was probably quite critical about the track um, because it was noisy, it was slippery, it felt weird, but that was mostly in training. And then I felt like once we got to racing, it was it's how it always is in our sport. It's the same for everybody, and you just have to make the most out of it and don't worry about it. And actually, I think we got to see amazing races there. I have to say also for myself, I think in both long races I finished sixth on the track, which were like my best world championship track results ever. And actually, yeah, it was amazing to just put a track in a nice location in Barcelona and get to race next to the beach. And there were also amazing pictures from the drones and huge crowds, and just the atmosphere of the city was amazing. For me, the marathon was even better. Like the finish of the marathon, just so cool, so insane, so many people watching. Now we saw 2 days ago the Tour de France, being in a pretty similar location and getting to race some of the same streets. It was actually really cool. And yeah, I would take a special track like this any day if it gives us the opportunity to race in such iconic locations and gets more people to see the sport. And that's fine, even though as a skater it's maybe not the easiest and a little bit tricky.
Another curiosity in terms of you are a man breaking records. It's not the old record. It's a lot of records. That I think that's the goal that you put every time you are racing is to break a record. It seems like you are for us is like you are a Ronaldo from soccer. You are in skates, so that's
You mean old
is
old guy who
right.
still performs relatively good?
Yes, that guy.
Amazingly good.
So how it is for you this kind of challenge?
Yeah, records and times are important, but as an inline skater, it's always about who finishes first. Like we mostly worry about the rankings and the podium, and times and records come after. Obviously, you are referring a bit to the world hour record, which was again like a special happening and during a special time. So COVID times, no normal races, and it was basically I had to find an outlet. I had to find something that motivates me for training and for pushing hard and keeping going. And that's where the idea with the World Hour record came up, and it helped me so much. Like I prepared for it 5 6 months, just focused on this, and for me it was amazing experience, and something completely different also in terms of pressure. You are alone on the track for 1 hour. There were so many people watching the live stream. There were so many people there live. And if you fade or if you crash or if you have a bad moment, the whole it felt like the whole world is seeing it. So I think the only moment I felt more pressure was probably during the Olympics, like the 5,000 meters, where okay, now there's like 50 million people watching. That even got me to freak out a little bit more. But I think the World Hour record was a great preparation for this, and I'm still so happy I did it. It really pushed me out of my comfort zone.
I was one of the persons in the live stream, and at the end, I remember, and you said that after the 15 minutes, you were completely wear out with 45 more minutes to go, and that hour lasts like 10 hours. Walk us a
Yeah.
bit. What I can't imagine skating 1 hour alone in the track.
Yeah, it was really tough. Obviously, I had a goal in my head. I wanted to skate 40 kilometers per hour average. Like that was much more than what I needed for the record, but it was just what I trained for the whole time, what I knew I'm capable of if I get to do a perfect race. And then, like, the night before the event, the World Skate official who was in Geising told us, yeah, we are changing the rules, and the track is now not 200 meters, is basically 198.5 meters, because they they had a because decided we are not measuring the track like it used to be, like 30 or 50 centimeters away from the white line. They decided we are measuring right on the white line. And so basically, I lost 1.5 meters every lap. And that was really freaking me out, because I knew I'll be right on the edge on breaking the 40K. But if you suddenly have to skate 1.5 meters more every lap, it was going to be really, really difficult. And
And you missed the 40K by 68 meters, right? Just
yeah.
68 meters. So that's
Yes,
shit.
it's basically nothing. And yeah, if they didn't make this change, I was easily breaking the 40K. But these sorts of things, they make a difference. And it was, I think, I had to skate like a tenth quicker or a little bit more even every lap to still make it. Like before, it would have been enough to skate 18.0, but now I had to skate 17.85 or something like this for 1 hour. And it was in July. Like it was so freaking hot in the arena. And obviously the arena is fast when it's hot, but if you are alone pushing yourself to the absolute limit for 1 hour, and the chance of overheating is also so high. I had no time to even grab a drink or something or ice or whatever during the hour. We all tried this in training, and you just lose too much. You cannot open the doors of the arena, because then the wind is coming and also slowing you down. So this was really difficult circumstances. And still, I'm happy the way I did it. It was freaking hard. I had to push myself to the absolute limit and above. But yeah, if you guys saw it, I still finished the hour quite well. And at some point, I didn't see anything anymore. I was just just going by feeling, and I just roughly knew where the where the track is. Everything full of sweat and like just completely zoomed out. And yeah, luckily it worked out. And like I said, it was one of the really cool experience, which pushed me super hard.
Felix, would you do it again?
Boah. I don't know if you know what would make me do it again is that the wheel development in the recent years really picked up. So I know that other guys can now break the record. I'm not saying easy, but if some strong skater dedicates a bit of time, they will break it. But this is also because I know I'm quite involved in wheel development, and I know what happened in last years
So you know.
and with the equipment I used for the record. So this is the only thing. Like I would kind of like to do it again to know how much quicker I could go, because I know I can go quicker, even though maybe I'm physically not. I would not reach the same shape again, because also who can now in the regular season dedicate 6 months just focusing on a record attempt like this. It's not realistic. But I know with the way the wheels are quicker now, I could still I could still break the record. So that's the only thing where I would be tempted. But then I think about the suffering and the pain, and then I don't want to do it again.
You are still racing at the highest level, while many athletes from your generation have stopped. What keeps you hungry still doing?
I just love what I do. I I have to say I really enjoy training most of the time. For sure, there are difficult periods and there are difficult times when you're tired, or when things are maybe not going your way, or when it's cold or wet or whatever. But in general, I really love my job. I really love going out on the bike, on my skates, in the gym. I would do it also without racing, maybe a little less intensity and a little less frequent. But in general, I really love training, and I love also the nerves and the pressure of competing. It gets me excited. It pushes me. It gets the best out of me, and it's just the best feeling you can get. And therefore I'm enjoying every opportunity I still get to perform and to race.
The experience you get at your competitive levels, if a skater is stepping in on that gap that you already said in this conversation, it's difficult to close the gap between junior and senior. If we have a top world skater going from junior to senior now, so 17, 18, 19, you have any advice for them in order to be high performance at 40 or 30 plus?
First of all, it's don't give up. um, it takes time. You need to give yourself this time also. You need to put in the work. You need to be consistent. You're not reaching the top of the world by training hard 1 or 2 years. Like for me, I became world champion when I was 27. So I'm maybe, or quite sure I'm not of the naturally most gifted, most talented people in the world, but in the end, hard work over a long period of time pays off. And that's what I would try to give to the younger generation is: don't give up on your dreams, be consistent, work hard, work smart, and keep progressing, and eventually you'll get there.
Now, I think is a hard question. What does skating still have to teach you?
Wow, what can I still learn from skating? Maybe I could still learn how to become a better sprinter, like, but I'm not sure that's still gonna happen. No, but I think that the sport has many nuances and many sides, and I'm looking forward to in the future maybe stay on the other side of the boarding, so get to experience a different sort of view and get to experience the sport from a different perspective. And I believe this can be equally exciting when you're cheering for your athletes and supporting your athletes instead of racing yourself. But I guess we'll find out.
I can say a thing or two about a new perspective because now I'm actually able to see races from the inside of the track. I always
Yeah.
feel a lucky guy now because I can see you guys, the top
You got the
skaters in the
best
world
view.
skating. I have the best view in my favorite sport in the world. So I consider
Awesome.
myself a very very lucky man. Felix, I have one question for you as a someone that does a lot of marathons now. What are we missing as a sport for our marathon to be an Olympic race on its own?
This is a complex question because I know sports politics play a big role in this. And I know that the federation has a big job to do, or World Skate has a big job to do to try to include our sport in the Olympics. I believe the sport has the potential to do it. I believe we still got to become more professional. We probably have to redefine some rules more clearly about what's allowed, what's not allowed. From an organizational point of view, we need to be even more professional. From a coverage point of view, we have to become better and more professional. But after all, the biggest thing that's holding us back is probably sports politics. And if and how we can influence this is difficult. Probably money plays also a big role in this. I hope I can still get to experience in my in my time that inline skating is part of the Olympics. But I'm keeping this dream for so long already, and I'm starting to doubt if it's still possible or not. But Olympics or not, the sport is amazing. The athletes are amazing. The supporters, like you two guys, are amazing. And we have something great going. And Olympics is only every 4 years. For sure, it would push the sport again onto another level. But even without, we are doing great. The sport is evolving. Track racing is, I think, bigger than ever before. The participant numbers in the big events are huge. The marathons are picking up again. We're getting to race in some new countries, new locations, new cities with new series, and therefore I don't think the sport is in a bad place. It just needs to keep on going and needs to keep on
Going.
evolving, and then we will see what happens.
Felix, before we go to the last chapter, is there anything that I should, or Mia and Elder, we should have asked you and we didn't?
Oh, we talked about many things. Nothing that directly comes to mind. You could probably ask me like, yeah, what's coming after skating? But I can give you the answer straight away. I don't know yet. I will for sure try to stay involved in the sport. In which role, I don't know yet. But it's it's my passion for more than 20 years. It's has a really big place in my heart, and therefore I wanna stay involved in whatever position there is. I will find a way, and but I cannot really say more yet.
Felix, in our defense, we didn't ask you because we still want to enjoy you racing some marathons and some races before that comes up. And this podcast is something that we want to do for several years. And anytime you do anything that yeah, I get or Elder some curiosity, we will invite you back, and you need to say yes because we are friends. And
For
yeah,
sure.
so we will have time to speak in further season.
Let me also take the opportunity to thank you two guys, because I don't know for how many years we know each other. Helder, I first time
Mhm.
really got to meet and experience during the early editions of Madeira, and he's been doing such a
Right.
great job with his live streaming and keeping even when the race was small, keeping it on YouTube and stuff, was one of the early adapters of it, and sharing it to the wider audience. And Adrian, I know you guys are doing such a hard job, being the first on the track in the morning and the last person to leave it late at night. And sometimes I feel we are lucky as athletes. We come an hour before our race, we do our race, and then we piss off again and get to chill in the hotel. And you have such long, long, long hours, and keeping always a good spirit and staying motivated and cheering on the crowd, cheering on the athletes, and yeah, I'm super thankful for this. So yeah, thanks to you two guys as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for those words, Felix. They mean a lot. And exactly like you said, and I'm using your words. I needed to find my place in the sport I love, Elder as well. And yeah, that's what I love to do right now. Is trying to speak and make people that are looking to us at the first time to enjoy our sport in the little part I can influence. So
Great.
thank you, Felix. Last block. This is very simple. Same rules for every single guest. 4 questions, no context. You answer whatever you want by the time as you want, and we are over. Are you ready?
Okay, let's go.
I start. So, Felix, what does speed mean to you?
Adrenaline, emotions, and pressure.
What happens in the seconds before the start?
High focused, heart rate goes up, and full motivation on the task ahead.
What is the part that nobody sees?
I guess all the hard work, all the training, all the dedication, all the sacrifices you have to do to be anywhere close to the top in our sport.
What you tell to the young Felix who first put on skates in Darmstadt?
Follow your dreams and don't give up. Once you get there, it will all be worth it.
Felix, thank you so much for being with us in this Speed Talks episode, and thank you everyone that is watching.